Did you know that during World War II, there were prisoner of war camps in the United States? Sounds a bit frightening. Why would the military do that? How did that go over with the neighbors? Here's the backstory. This peaceful wooded setting in America's Midwest is thousands of miles from the horrors of World War II. At the turn of the century, this area 20 miles north of Chicago is mostly farmland, but there are two things that stand out: a family-run tavern and its neighbor, a German prisoner of war camp.
We had a lot of German speakers still in the community. A lot of immigrant farm families were originally from Germany, so they spoke the language. They had something in common.
The family-run tavern is a popular hangout. It's the only hangout.
We specialize in French fried onion loaves and Hackney burgers.
Hackney's is just a minute walk from the prison camp.
Back then, It was very good for business. We had every soldier that was in the camp.
We used our hands and mastered what we laid our hands on. Working and living, we found a balance.
During the Depression, President Roosevelt establishes the Citizens Conservation Corps, a labor program in rural areas to provide jobs for young men. The camp in Glenview was built in 1933 and originally used to house thousands of workers. During World War II, it becomes the camp for the 740th Military Police Battalion. It houses American soldiers who go AWOL. It's called Camp Skokie Valley. In 1945, it becomes a prison for 200 German soldiers captured on the battlefield. What was the thinking there?
So there was actually an economic rationale behind that. So they could transport these prisoners over on ships that were empty because they had gone across with supplies for the European theater. So then they shipped the prisoners back on those empty ships.
Susan Johns is the president of the Glenview History Center.
There are documents from elsewhere, newspaper reports and things, that some people were not happy about this. They didn't think we should be treating these prisoners nicely. I haven't seen any of that from the Glenview area.
What did they do in these prison camps?
They refurbished gas masks and worked on machinery.
Nazi prisoners of war at a camp in northern United States.
There are 175 prison camps in 46 states. Most of the 400,000 prisoners are German, but not the Nazi ideologues who are the biggest threat. They are usually separated in different prisons. A camp in Algona, Iowa has a POW museum. Wabo Friesman weeds cornfields and digs holes for telephone poles. He is the only one of 4 sons to survive the war. Kurt Schalowski is 19 when he's captured. After the war, he becomes a priest. In Glenview, the family behind Hackney's establishes what is essentially a roadhouse run by Mary Welch's great aunt and uncle.
During the Depression years, my dad's aunt and uncle had come. Their name was Hackney. It was Prohibition, so they actually made their own hooch and sold it off the back porch. And so that's how we had a little nefarious start there. And then, of course, the war broke out, and that's when the soldiers came, probably about 1940, I'd say. So the place was filled with soldiers every single night.
When Mary's parents are running the tavern, her father is called into service.
My mom was left to run the restaurant with 2 little kids, and she was pregnant. So my dad said, just keep the doors open, because everybody's coming back to nothing. I would really appreciate it. I don't care if you make any money, just keep the doors open.
Grandpa knew he could count on these guys to help my grandma out. And they did. They 10-bar, like Mayor said, they would do everything.
Jim Hebner is a member of the family and the manager.
When he got back, I'm sure they were, happy to all be going home, but I think they had a nice time with the tavern being so close to the Army base.
Patty melts and Hackney burgers today?
Oh, yeah.
Great, great.
80 years later, the family is still running the tavern.
But I also feel like I'm back in time a little bit.
You are. The only thing that changes are the prices. So right.
A lot of family businesses, they don't quite get along, and we do pretty good. We're not perfect, but we do pretty good.
Across the street, pine trees and hiking trails replace the barracks that are shuttered in 1946. But if you wander through the woods, you still may find an 80-year-old bottle or a dish from Camp Skokie Valley.
There's some records of village workers finding concrete footings, presumed to be the footings for a watchtower for the POW camp.
This is our playhouse.
One structure that has survived, a playhouse outside the tavern. A soldier builds it with scrap wood. Aside from a new roof and several paint jobs over the years, it's the original.
Many of the North Shore kids, if you ask them what their favorite place to come is, Hackney's and the little playhouse. And they would play and play and play in there while their parents were having a martini or whatever.
Hackney's doesn't get too many soldiers these days, but the beer keeps flowing, just like 1945.